Welcome back. We've been talking with the fine folks from Operation Resolute, and joining me now are more people who make things happen there. Ben and Mike, welcome to the program.
Glad to be here.
You're part of the board of directors. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved?
Yeah, I'll take that one first. So I met Joel through church 4 or 5 years ago, and we immediately hit it off. He cast the vision for OR and what it did and who it is and where it was going, and it was something that immediately resonated with me. And through that, I think my first involvement was a deer hunt down in Pamlico County. Had the opportunity to go down and assist mainly with almost a hostess, helping out with meals and helping get guys to the deer stand, helping prep for the hunt. So I think that was my first kind of entree into Operation Resolute, and it just built from there. Within a year or so, had an opportunity to start serving on the board, and then within a year or two from there, had the honor to serve as the board chair, and it's really been a tremendous honor in my life.
It's obviously made an impression on you, and I bet you started out pretty much the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben and I both went to the same church with Joel, and we had Joel and Kimberly over the house one night, and I made dinner for them. That's sort of my stress break, is cooking. And
what do you do for a living, though?
I own a business. Ben and I both do. So I'm in wealth management.
Yeah.
So I manage portfolios for retirees and working folks all around the country.
And now you're cooking for the guys.
Well, that's my stress break. So what I do professionally is very intangible, and on any given day, you're a hero or a goat. And what I love about cooking is that you can control it.
Right.
You buy it, you prep it, you cook it, you plate it, you get the applause, and it's done. Nobody can take it away from you. And so I was making dinner for Joel and Kimberly. In the process, Joel's talking about Operation Resolute, and I really wasn't familiar with it. I knew them from church. I did not know their other ministry, which is now their primary ministry. And in the process, it hit so many chords for me that my father served, my mother's father served, my grandmother's father served, my uncles, Joe and Reggie, both served, my godfather served. I had cancer in high school, so I didn't, but I have a big heart for the military. And when I thought about what he's doing, the fact that this is, to my knowledge, the only ministry in the country working with active duty chaplains, working with active duty soldiers.
Why is that important?
Well, because you're catching them sooner. And these are folks that are in incredibly high-risk positions that are putting their lives on the line every day to defend us, to protect us. And very often, by the time they're out and trying to get help, it may be too late. And I think they need support while they're there as well as once they're out. When you consider the divorce rates and the suicide rates are just unbelievable. The country depends so much on these people, and yet they don't get the support they need. And I love the fact that this very small ministry that doesn't have a 9-digit budget and doesn't have millions upon millions of dollars of fundraising is doing something real on the ground. And I'm a little bit of a cynic on some of these big organizations. So I love the fact that this little bitty ministry with a very grassroots kind of fundraising is doing real work for real people right here. And I don't think it's coincidence that it happened to pop up in North Carolina, where we're within 3 or 4 hours from every military branch in the country. And some of the fiercest warriors in our nation's armed forces are right here. Whether you talk about Little Creek, Virginia, and the Navy SEALs down to Camp McCall and the Green Berets, the Marine Raiders out of Lejeune, the Rangers, the Delta Force, the 82nd Airborne out of Bragg, I mean, they're all right here. And so I think a ministry here just has such an opportunity to do good work.
Well, what kind of numbers are we talking about? I mean, how many soldiers are in need? Do you have those numbers, or is it just a...
As far as in need, I would imagine it's an enormous number. Our ministry at this point works with between 20 and 30 chaplains at any point in time, and you figure those chaplains have hundreds of soldiers underneath them each. So I don't know that we have a hard number on how many we touch, but the Zoo Day touches about 1,000 lives a year.
Yeah, that's true. I think as far as in need, we can reach as many people as we have opportunities.
All right.
So we can fill a calendar as long as we have the bandwidth to do it. And that's what the property in Hyde County is really going to help facilitate, rather than, like Joel said, beg, borrowing, and stealing week to week, farm to farm. now we'll have a home base where we can open that up multiple days out of the week, every weekend. And we've seen that if we make opportunities available to chaplains, they will fill those opportunities out. And each, whether it's a hunting trip, whether it's a fishing trip, whether it's a zoo day like Mike alluded to, one of the greatest things that OR does is the family zoo day. I mean, to bring 700 families together at the North Carolina Zoo makes a tremendous impact. And I mean, you ought to see these kids running around when you've got 700 to 1,000 families at the North Carolina Zoo.
Why is the venue so important? That's what I keep hearing. Where you have chaplains and military gather seems to be key.
It is. So understand, on any given day, these operators are overscheduled, they're overbusy. These are men not likely to seek mental health, and they certainly are not generally going to seek out the chaplain. So as we understand it from the chaplains that we've worked with, I mean, they are having to hunt and peck to find 90 seconds of a soldier's time. That, I mean, it is impossible for these guys to really corral these soldiers, these warriors. But if we have a base 3 hours away, and we set up an offshore fishing trip, a sound fishing trip, a sporting clay shoot, a hunt, and you dangle that to the soldiers and say, hey, we got a free 48-hour trip. They're going to feed you. They're going to provide the venue for you to hunt or fish. They're going to do all these things. Well, they're going to buy in, and they have to do it through the chaplain. So all of a sudden, the chaplain has a 2 to 3 hour drive where they've got windshield time to build rapport.
Sure.
They get up there, and our job is simply to build the bridge. You take a chaplain who is an officer who is college educated, usually with a master's, doctorate degree, who's a non-combatant by design, and you're trying to have that gentleman build a relationship with a warrior. You know, these guys are anything but what I just described.
Right.
And the beauty of the venue is that you give them 36 hours, you give them 48 hours where they're building rapport. They're going out to deer stands, they're out fishing off the dock, they're fishing off a boat, they're breaking bread at the table, they're sitting around a campfire. I mean, it's just time they can't get normally. So our role really and truly is just to facilitate an opportunity for a chaplain to build a relationship with these operators, who again are the fiercest warriors in the world.
Well, gentlemen, what you do is phenomenal. Obviously it's working, and that's got to make you feel great, that kind
Absolutely.
of success. For the viewers, just go to the website. We're going to have that up for you. And certainly they could use funding and volunteers and all of that. But thank you for what you do. We got more to come. I think the next segment you'll find particularly interesting, so don't you go anywhere. Stick around.